So, Ben, you made a comment this morning at the morning session, that people were being really hard on Obama, and that this President Obama volunteered to captain the Titanic after it already hit the iceberg. Well, he already hit the iceberg, and now we hit this giant puddle of oil that's now spewing as well. We're still on the Titanic and still sinking. I mean, there's been a lot of hype from the right that this is Obama's Katrina. They're hyping this up as this, this is all the administration's fault. They should have done X, Y, and Z. I mean, this is a political audience here. I think a lot of us are probably also still frustrated with the response too, and confused about how you should approach this from a constructive way. I'm wondering what you see as the role for people here and being constructive in that conversation rather than negative, basically.
Sure. Well, I can only speak for myself in terms of how my own kind of emotional arc with this whole process. I think that early on I felt more like a prosecutor of BP, trying to call out this horribly irresponsible company, it's a criminal organization as far as I'm concerned, that came here and corrupted our government, built this rickety rig, slagged up our coastline, and did all that sort of stuff. I wanted to, I felt like a prosecutor of BP in my public comments. Then people started throwing punches at the administration. I felt more like somebody who needed to kind of defend and block and tackle a little bit for the administration, because I thought some of the comments from the left and the right were just unfair, and that the level of corruption that the Bush administration allowed in those particular parts of our government was so severe and extreme that it would have been very, very difficult for the administration in an 18-month period to have gotten that all sorted out. Now I don't feel like trying to defend the administration or prosecute BP. I want to be an advocate for the people who live down there. And I think that one of the things that's going on is the people who live down there have every problem in the world times 20. And in the blogosphere and the DC stuff, it's a lot of this kind of political point scoring. But we got real basic problems. I mean, the claims process is still completely ridiculous for most people, even though it's now the government's tried to take it over. It's still, people are still not able to, you have people in the same family with the same situation. This person gets denied a claim, this person gets $10,000. I mean, it's completely arbitrary still. That's a big problem. Another big problem is that the banks, my favorite actors in American politics, the banksters, are now abusing BP's victims by continuing to foreclose. There's a huge need for these banksters to be pushed. I think one of the big banks kind of has moved voluntarily in this direction. Others are thinking about it. But the way that the economy works down there is that people are heavily in debt. They're heavily in debt post-Katrina. They're also heavily in debt as a way of doing business. You take out a big loan to get your boat, to get ready. You go out there, you get a bunch of fish, you pay your loan back. Well, this thing happened at the worst possible time for fishing season. So you have people who are in danger of losing everything because the banks are going to foreclose them. I can't imagine why U.S. banks that exist only because of the taxpayer bailout should be foreclosing on BP's victims right now. I think that's an issue that we should be screaming about. None of these banks, and I've said this before, we didn't quote unquote nationalize the banks and that kind of thing, which I guess a European country you would have done that. But that doesn't mean that these banks don't have a moral obligation, and we don't have a political obligation to have them act like better members of our communities. These banks absolutely would have been gone. You would go to New York, you would be trying to look at the sights with your kids, and you would see these strange people wandering around in New York City, with tin cups in their hands and with Gucci shoes and Brooks Brothers suits, and your kids would have been shocked and horrified, and they'd have been like, "Mommy, mommy, who's that? What's wrong with those people?" And you would say, "Shh, don't point. Those are former Wall Street bankers. Don't stare. Let's just keep walking." That's where they would have been. That's where they would have been. So they have no right looking down their nose at anybody. They have no right being stingy and mean to anybody. They have no right throwing people out of their houses. They have no right foreclosing on people in the Gulf Coast region because it's our money. They exist now because they have our money. And so if we were willing, despite all their crimes and all their disgusting behavior, to bail them out, they should be willing to bail out the people in the Gulf Coast.